Mesdames et messieurs, Solstice Realty de Jacques Guillaume.
Goal, nous, c'est pour nous bien servir la communauté haïtienne, quel que soit côté où il y a. Aux États-Unis, Canada, France, Amérique centrale, en Haïti, nous là pour nous bien servir. Ouais, m'a dit mille merci à la communauté haïtienne qui toujours apprécie le travail que nous faisons, c'est-à-dire qui toujours utilise Solstice Realty pour tout besoin immobilier, que c'est en Floride, que c'est en Haïti. Donc, sans communauté haïtienne, nous sommes capables de Solstice Realty pas d'abord arrêter pour la faire business pour plus de 10 ans, c'est-à-dire communauté haïtienne tout entière qui toujours bail support à Solstice Realty. Donc c'est pour cette raison qui fait que quelle que soit activité ou qui a fait dans la communauté Solstice Realty fier pour les capable mettre pas qu'à distinct mais pour les longer mais bail tout le monde qui est dans la communauté c'est-à-dire nous réinvestir quelque chose ça nous fait dans la communauté parce que communauté c'est nous-mêmes et c'est nous-mêmes qui fait communauté donc nous faisons partie de la communauté haïtienne quel que soit côté haïtien Solstice Realty là avec nous donc nous apprécions encore 1000 fois pour support qu'au bail Solstice Realty on nous continue de travailler ensemble parce que nous voulons bailler un travail exemplaire et quel que soit côté nous river quel que soit monde que nous servir avec nous voulons pour haïtiens pour nous servir avec eux professionnellement, qu'est-ce un bon temps qui est un mauvais temps, surtout un mauvais temps, parce que c'est un mauvais temps pour qu'on ait vraiment son bons amis. Donc, Solstice Realty, nous là, ces amours nous là pour nous servir et nous continuer à servir.
Oui, allô?
Allô?
J'appelle de la France. C'est juste pour me faire un coucou, pour me complimenter nous pour du fait que nous avons informé la communauté haïtienne. De temps en temps, m'écouter nous, parce que tous les samedis, dès que j'ai la possibilité, voilà quoi.
Là, vous ne pouvez pas pour pas perdre du compte parce que Jacques, depuis des années, il prend détermination ça pour les deux communautés haïtiennes. Nous suspendons perdu l'argent parce que nous sommes arrivés dans 4 ans, 6 ans de cela. Haïtiens, c'est des maintenant en tête après l'homme, ils sont obligés de partir à l'autre côté pour continuer de payer. Ça fait nous tous intéressés dans des émissions, ça. La PDO avec des personnes qui ont connaissance en la matière, pour capable aider pour suspendre perdu l'argent parce que qu'on a l'argent, vous pas ça à terre. Encore un sacrifice pour votre monnaie.
Ça veut dire Solstice.
Oh, Solstice. Définition où on va aller dans les Haïti, c'est nous connaissons, on va qui est Solstice, on va qui vient fondé, et nous connaissons Solstice, on va dans Realty, cap bah mon moyen pour acheter car, pour vendre car, c'est ça, vous connaissez des Solstice.
Mon cher,
on est intelligent. On est intelligent.
Donc c'est ça que nous voulons ajouter en plus pour mon capitaine là qui va entrer dans le process acheter caille pour connaître comment pour coopérer avec Real Talk avec là et ça mande tout pour mon nata utiliser un Real Talk Solstice qui comprend le langage et qui va aider à comprendre termes mieux dans le niveau qu'il va comprendre. Merci.
Moi, tout le programme très instructif. Je crois que c'est bon pour travailler parce que ça permet vraiment qu'on fasse un travail qui est plus rapide, qui est plus bien, qui est plus professionnel, que ce soit passé dehors, gardons en fait et finir essayer de faire un coup de fil pour entrer. C'est ça nous apporter à l'émission.
Pas oublier, l'union fait la force. Pas oublier, l'union fait la force.
C'est un monde qui a lutté, disons, pour que ça change dans le domaine real estate en Haïti, ça aurait les transactions immobilières.
I know that Solstice Realty and their professionals can definitely assist you with any home buying purchase.
Vous êtes à la recherche d'une maison, townhouse, duplex, condominium, appartement, quelle que soit la largeur, achat, location, vente, ou bâtir votre propre maison de rêve. Aux États-Unis, en Haïti, quel que soit l'endroit. Faites confiance aux agents de Solstice Realty de Jacques Guillaume.
Et Jacques est capable de prendre témoignage sur les zones que Jacques, c'est un monde, depuis que je me rencontré avec lui, qui a un impact positif dans ce qu'on réalise dans Jacksonville.
Est-ce que vous avez une compagnie qui a aidé en Haïti?
Bien sûr, nous avons service en Haïti tout. So, allez sur www.solsticerealty.net et puis cliquez sur Haïti pour voir tout argent que nous gagnons à Haïti et avec toute propriété que nous avons, nous avons loué à Haïti.
Solstice Realty, ça n'a pas gagné, on pas fait même. Mais est-ce que monsieur ça a marié mon?
Non. Solstice pas marié mon. Solstice c'est placer, nous placer mon. Nakai. Bonjour tout le monde. Dès que l'heure est arrivé, c'est Solstice Realty qui entre la caillou. Et puis, jeudi, nous avons un très bon show pour vous. Et puis, vous connaissez qu'avant de entrer dans le show, m'a toujours dit, numéro de téléphone dans studio à ouvrir. Vous êtes capable toujours aller dans 904 786 24 00. 904 786 24 00. Si vous avez une question, ou du moins, vous êtes capable de texte moi question, yo. Dans 904 386 17 26. Bon, jeudi, ça nous gagne agenda nous pour nous parler de relations que real estate gagne avec finance et puis nous parler une histoire de finance aux États-Unis, comment bagaille a changé dans 30, 40, 50 années qui sont passées et comment lié jeudi. Titre show jeudi nous regarde how real estate facilitates the flow of money to the mainstream et nous parlons briefly parler de nouvelles qui gagnent dans le market là et ensuite avec avec l'autre information qui est capable de venir. Et puis, avant que je rentre dans le show, je dit non que le show ça est recordé. Et puis, toute information que nous discutons dans le show, ça l'a publié online, c'est-à-dire sur YouTube, sur le site Solstice Realty. Intervention auditeur, nous ne doit pas refléter le point de vue de Solstice Realty avec tout argent libre, avec tout staff, Radio Puissance Inter. Donc, de ce fait, nous avons tout droit pour nous modifier le podcast ça avant que nous publions online. Et donc, je crois que pile qui a commencé texte mon question yo. Avant que moi commence à répondre question, m'a introduit un special guest moi yo. Moi gagné monsieur Surijnarine Singh, mostly known as monsieur VJ, qui au bout du fil avec nous, qui c'est pas pour la première fois qu'il a entré dans ça. Donc en background VJ c'est dans financement et puis ancien condition moi, il gagne maîtrise lié en finance. Et c'est un investisseur lié et tout. Et puis, moi, gagné M. Anthony Davis au bout du fil, qui c'est loan officer qui servait la communauté haïtienne. Donc, chose ça, il parle predominantly in English. So, I have two special guests on the other line, and I have Mr. Surijnarine Singh, mostly known as VJ. His background is in finance. He's an investor. He's retired from the service, and he's right here with he's on the other line with us. VJ, are you there?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so, and I have Mr. Anthony Davis, who has been serving the Haitian community. His background is in mortgage, and he has been doing mortgages for almost 20 years. So he knows everything from inside out. Are you with us, Mr. Anthony?
Good morning, everybody.
Okay, well, I want to say thank you to both of you for being on the radio, being on the air with us today to talk about finance. And then before we start talking about finance, I will let VG just say a few words to the Haitian community, and and then Anthony, you will take it in just to say a few words, and then I will go ahead and start with the agenda. Go ahead, VJ.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the radio show. This series that we have been doing is just to highlight the background in financing in real estate, and the opportunities that could be made available, that will be made available to investors if they follow the financial discussions that we're going to have, because our goal, working with Jack and now Mr. Davis, is to basically highlight the areas that investors can invest in real estate, which in the last show we discussed that is one of the best investments out there because of the appreciation and of the income value of real estate over the years.
Perfect. Thank you, VJ. Mr. Anthony, go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. I marked that what he just said. The goal is to try to get you set up and qualified for, if you're interested in investing in real estate, whether it be as an investor or as a homeowner as a primary residence. In the mortgage industry, we look at things very detailed in order to get you qualified to purchase a home, whether it be for investment or a primary residence. So I'll be glad to answer any questions you have, and we'll kind of go from there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anthony. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. And then first, we are going back to the future. So we are going to go back during the Great Depression. And I guess what we are trying to do is to paint a picture of how finance used to be during the Great Depression. And I'm going to let VJ start the program where he will fill us in, how finance used to be. What's the history behind financing during the Great Depression. We know we had a New Deal from Franklin D. Roosevelt, and that was from 1929 to 1939. But let's stick with the 1930s, and then I will let VJ take it from here, and then I will bring Anthony into filling, and then we'll go ahead and talk about regulation, deregulations. Go ahead, VJ. Thank you.
Yeah, when this country had independence, all states, set the maximum limits for loan interest rate was about around 8% per annum, and these remained in place until the 18th century. Then, in 1914, the Federal Reserve was established, and basically this was to control the nation. The Federal Reserve was established in 1914 to basically and at this, it controlled all the banks. They had to carry reserves, and the reserves had carried no interest until 2009 when they changed it. When that was changed, as a result, what happened is during the Great Depression, there was a lot of speculation that led to the demise of the banking industry. So in 1933, the Glass-Steagall Act was passed, which basically limited what banks could do and what insurances could do and what investment companies could do. So it basically separated them. And so banks were only allowed to do like less than 10% of banking, extra banking stuff like investments and stuff like that. Only 10% of the revenue was supposed to be used for the non-banking stuff like investments and stuff like that. So
I guess we lost VJ for a few minutes. So VJ was talking about the Glass-Steagall Act of 1933. That act was mainly designed to minimize risk in the banking industry. And I'm sure VJ is going to call back once he can get back on the line. And then because basically what was happening during the 1930s, yes, as a bank, you can have insurance, you can have all kinds of stuff, you can have different branches in the industry. And then, the more you extend yourself, and then the more risk you have, and then the risk is based on what? On the depositor's money. That means people who put money in the bank, and the bank was taking big risks with those deposits. So, while VJ is trying to come back, I will bring Anthony in, and then he can take it from here. Pour tout le monde qui fait brancher up dans des émissions Solstice Realty, and then we have Mr. Anthony Davis on the other line, and Mr. VJ with us. VJ, are you back?
Yes, I am back.
Okay, yes. So you started talking about the Glass-Steagall Act of 1933. Sorry for the interruption. So you can take it from here. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, that basically prevented banks from doing non-banking activities and basically prevented the banks from getting into the mortgage industry and the insurance industry like it is today. So as time moved on, banks wanted to do more with the money they had because it was basically crippling them. So the bank lobby continued to lobby Congress and the leaders of the government to deregulate deregulate or eliminate Glass-Steagall. But that did not happen until 1970, 1980, when Carter started to deregulate, allow the thrift industry, the thrift savings industry to get involved with mortgages and non-banking activities. And then in 1982,
the 1982, the St. Garment Depository Institution Act was passed, which deregulated thrift completely, which led 5 years later to all the thrift industry, the thrift institutions failing completely and creating a financial crisis. And so in 1987, they created the Financial Institutions Reform and Recovery Act, which basically abolishes the FSLIC, which was the regulatory agency that was overseeing the savings and loan thrifts.
Okay.
They had gone insolvent.
Okay.
That was a precursor to what was going to happen in 2008.
Okay.
No one at that time realized that, but looking back on it now, we saw what deregulation did for the savings and thrift.
Okay. Vijay, just to bring our listeners into perspective, in the 1930s, during the Great Depressions, about 4,000 commercial banks fell in 1933. And then the Glass-Steagall Act gave birth to FDIC, because basically FDIC protects part of your saving, right? I'm going to let now Vijay talk about the FDIC just for a minute, and then I will bring Anthony in to talk about regulation and deregulation during the Bush era, and then we'll take it to our decade. Go ahead, Vijay. Go ahead and finish talking about the FDIC, and then we'll bring Anthony in.
So, in the Depression era, I think it was like $8,000 your FDIC was covering. The banks could cover. Now, in 1980, up to as recent as 1980, it was only $40,000. But in Carter, as part of deregulating the thrift institution to raise the FDIC from 40,000 to 100,000, where it stood for almost 30 years.
Because when FDIC just started, the amount they entered was at first was like $2,500. It was nothing. And then from 1933 to 1980s, where we were at 100,000, and then today we are 250. 40,000.
And then 1980, yes.
Yeah.
It reached from 40,000 to 100,000.
Exactly. So, and then, I'm going to pull Anthony in, and then he can take us to the Bush era, and we can talk about regulation and deregulation. Then we'll talk about our decade. Go ahead, Anthony.
When Bush took office, and I'm talking about George Bush the son, not Daddy Bush as they call him. Basically, it came, I guess, the mortgage industry that I can speak of, came very broad. Meaning they were allowed to, I guess you can say, get into mortgage, allowing banks and lenders to, on the secondary market, put mortgages, bundle them up, certain types of mortgages, bundle them in one group, and sell them as mortgage-backed securities on the secondary market. Well, things like that opened up a lot of different programs and so forth that were available or accessible on the front end, meaning to the average consumer. Meaning you have all types of mortgage loans programs with people with very low credit. Basically, we call it an innocent people with, if they had a pulse, they could possibly get a loan kind of thing. And this was like in the early 2000s up until probably about 2007, 2008, when the market started to crash. But during that time, mortgages were frivolous. You could, if you were breathing, you could pretty much get a mortgage on a home. Credit score could be very low. All kinds of option, what we call an option arm, a pick-up-pay payment. All kind of creative loans were out there at the time, and they just was the government allowed it. So if the government allowed it, and there was a market for it, obviously, and money could be made off of it on the secondary market, then it was allowed, and that's what happened. But unfortunately, in around the 2007, 2008 range, the market tanked, where those loans start to come back as they cycle for refinance, or adjustable loans came up to be refinanced or due for full payment, where the payment's going to go up. Recast is what we call it.
Yeah.
They started going out of business, or they were acquired by other banks, some of those bigger banks who had the financial stability to acquire them, or some of them just failed. The FDIC increased some things during that part time. It was just really a disaster, and no one even in the mortgage industry, no one even in the underwriting aspect of it, Fannie and Freddie, no one knew what to do. They almost failed. If the big government didn't bail them out, they would have failed. Fannie, when I say Fannie and Freddie Mac, they're the ones that buy the mortgages on the back end, basically. And FHA insures a loan. But anyway, no one really knew what to do, so they made some guidelines and so forth, very, very strict at that point. So it went from easy to get a loan to very, very difficult to get a loan. Almost impossible, but you had to have really perfect credit and money and everything. You couldn't have any flaws. And that probably happened between 2007 on up to probably maybe 2011. I think it probably started stabilizing, and people started figuring out what to do again, make it more of a normal market as it is today. But there was a season in our country that no one really knew what to do, especially in the mortgage industry, because in the real estate industry, because it affects so many people, it affects so many other industries. It caused a lot of people to lose their jobs, and that's when the employment rate was skyrocketed and everything. And it was just a rough time. It was a really rough time for that. That was a rough time. Fortunately, of course, we're the great United States of America, and we pull ourselves through.
Yes.
The 2011 market started to change a little bit, where people, companies started to hire again. The real estate mortgage industry, it came back, which, like I said, affects a lot of people. Therefore, we were able to, put people back to work in the industry, that the vendors and so forth that affect this industry, we were able to put them back to work. The guidelines started easing up a little bit, so people can get into homes. And it pretty much put us where we are now. We're in a really, really, really good state. It's not a perfect system, and it never will be. But it's in a state where, a common sense, a person who basically pay their bills on time and have assets to get to the home can get to the home.
Perfect. Okay. And, Anthony. Yeah, Anthony, I have one question. In looking back, let's say 12 to 14 years ago, since Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac had their hands on almost a big percentage of every loan that was initiated or issued, what could Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have done to mitigate or to keep the loan, the financing process under control? And then once you finish talking about it, I will bring Vijay in to talk about stress test, risk assessment, derivative, and this kind of points. Go ahead, Anthony.
I think because in the back on the secondary market, and I'm talking about Fannie, Freddie, and whatever, basically what happens in selling on Wall Street, that's basically what it is. With mortgages and everything else that goes on, that goes in our country, the financial industry. I think there was so much money to be made on mortgages. There was so much money to be made on it. Whatever kind of money to be made, people are going to abuse it. And I think that on the back of the market, they're saying, okay, we'll buy these loans. You can sell them, for example, for your option on, to give that for an example, that was a program where you could pick your payment. You could pay an interest-only payment. You could pay a fully indexed payment. You could pay less. You could pay one that had negative amortization payment. You could pay more on it. So you could pick your payment every month. And let's say in the psychology, you see that lowest payment that come on that bill, you're probably going to pick that. After time, your interest is going to build up, but you don't have any equity building up. And those loans were just crazy, especially in markets like California and New York, and places where in South Florida where it was really, the property values were turning. Well, that happens for a while, but then it crashed. And
true.
That's what kind of caused it. But my point is, Fannie and Freddie, they were allowing these programs to be out there, and they were backing these programs. If they hadn't backed some of those programs, said, wait a minute, or make more guidelines and restrictions on those programs, we may have not been in that situation. And hopefully we've learned our lesson from that as a country, and we'll have to go down that road again. But I think that's what caused it for the most part. It was just so much money to be made and greed.
Okay.
And that's what happened. So hopefully we're better than that now.
Exactly. All right. So I'm going to bring VJ in. He's going to talk about some, key indicators when it comes to risk and market assessment and stress test. All right, VJ, go ahead.
Thank you, Anthony. You highlighted some of the areas that we had talked about on the previous show about Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and basically, even at that time, that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac this stuff was going on, and the Bush administration was pushing for more oversight of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, but all their efforts to do that failed because everyone was saying, the Bush administration came on the cusp of Clinton wanting to affordable housing for everyone.
True.
And so people start to take advantage of that, and banking industry start to take advantage of that, and also by deregulating, by repealing Glass-Steagall Act, it allowed the creation of mortgage-backed securities and derivatives tied to the real estate industry. And so as a result of that, what happened, there was a lot of money being speculated in the real estate market.
Okay.
And so that basically led to the 2008 collapse because there was no oversight. As myself and Jack talked about in the last show, Anthony just talked about all the different instruments of mortgages were created during that time to basically let us, Anthony said, everyone that had a pulse to get a mortgage. And so when that happens, you're going down a path of destruction. It's yourself destructing the banking industry. Because you have to have repayability. That's the bottom line.
Okay.
Debt to level, income ratio, and stuff, and basically stronger oversight of financial institutions is key in that situation.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we are going to take a short break and pour tout le monde qui fait brancher ou prendre des émissions Solstice Realty. Des microphones c'est Jacques Guillaume et au bout du fil nous gagnons monsieur VJ avec monsieur Anthony Davis. And we are going to take a short break and we'll be right back. Anthony, you'll take the lead when we come back to talk about market trends, opportunities for investors and home buyers. Okay.
Mon cher, nous là n'a frappé ça n'est fait.
Mon cher, m'a fait des marches pour nous capable venir habiter dans Floride très bientôt avec toute famille là. Est-ce que vous référez à une compagnie qui fait real estate pour aider dans le processus ça?
Bon, m'a bao Solstice Realty avec tout agent lié qui a bail bon service real estate en Haïti et en Floride. Ou ka toujours aller sur site yo qui c'est www.solsticerealty.net ou bien carré dans 904 886 3100.
Est-ce que son G majorité Semna, les teams qui ont caille dans Floride et puis tenant refusé payer. Est-ce que Solstice Realty fait pour appeler manager?
Bien sûr mon vieux, n'a loué caille là, collecter loyer chaque mois à l'heure pour Marjorie.
Merci en pile cousin. Eh bien, si c'est comme ça, yo caille dem vendre caille moyen dans New York tout.
Pour caille Paula, n'a cherché un agent qui vous vient lister caille là pour venir mettre li à vendre pour sans être chargé. Just faire nous connaître l'obret.
Cousin, avant aller, maman me gen 3 caille Haïti actuellement. Yon déjà dans loyage et puis l'autre vide. Est-ce que vous avez une compagnie qui a aidé en Haïti?
Bien sûr, nous avons service en Haïti tout. So, allez sur www.solsticerealty.net et puis cliquez sur Haïti pour avoir tout argent que nous gagnons à Haïti et avec toute propriété que nous avons nous bien loué à Haïti.
Solstice Realty, ça n'a pas gagné ou pas fait même. Mais est-ce que monsieur ça a marié mon?
Non. Solstice pas marié mon. Solstice c'est placer nous placer mon dans caille.
Mesdames et messieurs, Solstice Realty de Jacques Guillaume.
VJ, we are back. Okay.
And then I'm going to ask Mr. Anthony to talk about some market trends that he's seeing now, well, from 2013, 14, 15, and 16. And then I will bring VJ in, and then we'll close with market predictions. Go ahead, Anthony.
Okay, as far as market trends, it's been, it's been volatile, to say the least. It to the point, it was the point where no one really knew, what to do and that kind of thing.
It's changed. It's getting, like I said a little bit earlier, it's getting more stabilized now. You're in a market where, if you've seen, there was a lot of short sale stuff going on. It's not as many, it's still few out there, which means values are coming back and people can purchase properties normally and not have to deal with that aspect of it. As for an investor situation, there's still some excellent deals out there. Some of the properties are going to come with some issues that need to be addressed, structural issues and that sort of thing that need to be addressed. That they're in a position to have the financial stability to do those things, and there's a good opportunities out there for them to invest in property and rent it out or reflip it in 6 months, a year, however they want to do it. There's an opportunity to raise some awesome right now. They've been in, I think, 2 years, I think is what it is. If you look at investor rates are going to be a little bit higher because that's more of a risk factor. However, they're still lower than what they were.
Okay.
And for primary residents, same situation. The rates are excellent. Good time to buy because values are there. The market's it's a good market to be in right now. It really is a good market to be in.
Yeah, Anthony, I received a question. I think this message is for you. The person said, what about some of the challenges for home buyers now? What can they learn about some of the challenges that are out there?
The challenges that I'm seeing, and the biggest challenge, and you and I both know this, has been some of the properties need some work, basically, when you look at that. And there were certain type of loans will allow you to have some work financed in a certain type. The seller, it has to be done before you close, and a certain type that will allow you to escrow it in. It's probably going to detail right now. I'll break them all down. I'd be glad to do that kind of a one case-by-case basis, so I would need more time to break all that down. But that's where it stands right now. You have those options or challenges, I guess you say, when you're purchasing a property, when the house is tore up and you gotta, it has to be repaired, and that's when who's going to be responsible for doing it, and to what extent will we lend in that situation, because certain things have to be HUD standards, Fannie Freddie standards, and so forth when it comes to the appraisal and that sort of thing. So those are the challenges on as far as the house part. As far as the mortgage part, what I see is the challenges. Debt ratios, of course, is always a challenge. The way people file the taxes is a challenge right now. And of course, sourcing funds when it goes into their bank that we see in their bank account, because we got to source all the funds, basically, large deposits and that sort of thing going in their bank account. And so a lot of people don't understand why we do that, but that's just the requirement that we have to secure a loan for you.
Okay, perfect. And I just received one more question. The person said, you know what, I'm getting discouraged because I have been looking for a house for almost 8 months. And each time I submit an offer, somebody won over me. I get rejected too many times. And I'm just too sad to even start continue looking at houses. And then the only way I would approach this, and as I have people also, I have customers who have been looking for houses for almost a year. And some customers, they are very specific. So they have a zip code where they are looking for a property. And then with technology now, there's a saying that goes in Creole, pied coûte prend le vent. You have to be fast if you want to get your arm around the house. And then, so the key is that most home buyers, they are competing with investors. And we are talking about cash buyers. They are competing with cash buyers. And then that's a big challenge also. Mostly the price range. And then let's see if you are in the low 100, and then, these properties, they appeal to investors. Why? Because it has a strong cash flow, a positive cash flow. And of course, mostly for foreclosures, those lenders, they are looking for quick close. They don't want to drag their feet. They just want to get rid of the property. That becomes quite challenging for our buyers also. Okay, so I'm going to bring VJ in, and he's going to talk about, give us a few points about opportunities for investors like him, and then we'll go ahead and we'll go about talk about market trend after that.
Yes, on a personal note, Jack, when I was looking for properties to buy as an investor, I lost out 5 properties, and I was telling Jack, I said, hey, if you want to sell your property, get VJ involved, because as soon as VJ put an offer on it, it will sell.
Yeah. Yes.
And so, so the trends we're seeing now is that what I see happening is more and more baby boomers are going to start locating themselves in places that have excellent medical care. And as me and Jack was talking about last night, places like North Carolina, South Carolina, is showing that trend because they're taking, a lot of seniors are setting up retirement communities close to these places that have excellent medical facilities. And so an investor looking to invest in land, houses, or apartment buildings should take that in effect, knowing that the baby boomers are going to come out of their big mansions and start to look for nice warm areas in Florida and also close to medical facilities. And so places like St. Augustine, Beach Boulevard and stuff like that are close to good medical facilities are excellent places to look at investment properties because those properties will be taken up by the baby boomers. And so, as the millennials start to move into the, buying and owning properties and stop renting, the younger kids are going to start looking at getting into condos that are highly technology, with high technology, like the ones that basically you can, before you come home, you can turn on the stove, the shower will be running, the garage, the lights will be on, the air condition will be on. You can set your air condition with a flip of a smartphone. So that's what the young kids will be looking at. The guys that are now starting to make their first job, have their first job. That's where they want to go.
Well, VJ, here is one piece of technology I want to invest in: a self-ridden lawnmower where I don't have to push that thing in front of me. If you can find one where I can just flip it on my smartphone, it will do my lawn. That's all I want.
They have them out there, but it's just like the other day I saw the iRobot, the one that does the vacuuming, but it's $800. And I'm start investing in that stuff, it's going to be that price. Because as once again, you're paying for the price of the research and development. The market entrants have to pay the price for the R&D. And then once you get that out of the way, then the prices start to drop.
Yes, it's going to be a mass product. Yeah.
New product that come into the market, new product comes into the market.
Okay. I'm going to go back to Anthony and ask him about for his predictions. How do you foresee the next 10 years in the what picture do you have of the next 10 years in the real estate market, Anthony?
As far as the trend, I kind of agree with VJ. It's some of the stuff with the technology and some of the younger generation. Like you say, they just want to walk in, they want to push the button, and everything's ready when you go into the house, kind of thing. They even want more high tech stuff, even when it comes to the mortgage. So that's why we have the technology that we have in the mortgage side of the business. A lot of stuff is just we're gearing toward a paperless kind of situation. It probably would never be all 100% paperless, but a lot of stuff we can do paperless, or you and I know how we can. A lot of stuff can be e-signed, but some stuff still has to be physically signed. That's a trend, and that probably will continue. And hopefully, it'll get to a point where everything can be done electronically, so we can eliminate all the paper that we have in this industry, which we do have a lot. So I think that's the trend when it comes to the mortgage side of the business. I think the rates have still been stable. They've been stable for a while now, and I think that will continue to stabilize. I think the economy is getting a little bit better and stabilizing, so that's a positive. More the employment rates down, so I see a lot of stability unless something majorly happens
Yes, and then one thing you also mentioned, Anthony, is how would we eliminate the gap between the haves and the have-nots? Because yes, I mean most loans that you are working with have to do with some kind of e-signing or e-complete. But how do you deal with those who, let's say, from Generation X or maybe a few baby boomers, but mostly Generation X, where they don't have exposure to, with the e-sign idea. They just want to see a piece of paper. They just want to meet you face to face. How do you deal with those customers?
The way I handle it, and try to teach my team to handle it, give me the bar where they need to be. If there are bars that can do, if they're capable and knowledgeable, and tell us enough to go through the e-signing process, obviously that'll make it easier, because once we get it, we can get it back instantaneously and we can keep things moving. However, if it's someone who just can't get it that way, then it's the old-fashioned way where you just meet in person. If you got to print stuff out, you got to print it out. It could be 100 pages you got to print out and they need to sign. You got to print out 100 pages and they need to sign it. That's just, it is what it is. But the thing is, you're meeting them in order to service those people. You're meeting them where they need to be so they can be comfortable. Because you think about it, they're borrowing, 100, 200,000, whatever the amount is. They're borrowing a very large sum of money, and obviously, they will want to. They may want to get to know you on a certain level, especially that generation. Make sure they see somebody face to face, sometimes who they're working with, who's going to be handling all that financial information, who have access to all the information.
Indeed.
I just like you. Okay, if you can't e-sign, you can come to my office, or I can come in, whichever is comfortable for you. So we can make this happen. I'm comfortable. Just let me know how you want to handle it. If you want to do email, that's fine. If you want to do text, that's fine. If you want to meet in person, that's fine. Just let me know. And I have a range of all the different ones, two variations of how they like to do business, and that's fine. I'll meet them on their level. And that's the key if someone wants to be successful in this business, meeting them on their level. And if the person on the other end wants to be more comfortable with people handling their business, then they let them know. I'm just one of these people. I like to meet in person. Or I'm okay with just email, or I'm okay with just text me whatever you need. And
Exactly.
I need to. So that's the way I see things. And
Okay.
It's worked for me. So I'll continue doing it that way.
Indeed, different strokes for different folks. Well, yes. So our program comes to an end. Every great thing always comes to an end. So, and I want to ask Mr. Anthony to give us his final words, and then I will bring VJ. We'll conclude the program. Go ahead, Anthony.
Sure. First of all, I want to thank you for having me on the show. It's always a pleasure. My thing is for people who are interested whether investing or buying as a primary residence, take a look at your financial house. Start thinking about it 3 to 6 months in advance to see where you stand financially, see where you stand on your tax return, see where you stand, how much money you have saved, and what's going in and out of your bank accounts. Take a look at your credit and that sort of thing to see where that stands. So when you come to us to say, I'm ready to purchase a house and I got to get you pre-qualified, it'll make things much easier than us having to take 3 to 6 months to clean you up first before we can get you ready to purchase a home. It's a great market out here right now for buyers and sellers. Actually, this is a really good market to be in. Rates are awesome. You can get in the 3s and 4s interest rates right now. If you're a primary investor, it's going to be higher. So it's a good time. It's a good time.
Yes.
So you can't predict how long that's going to last, but things can happen and it changes. But right now, it's a really good time to do that. Great programs out there, and the guidelines are pretty stable right now.
Exactly.
It's like that. You just got to be able to, the biggest thing is the underwriter has to say, is this person going to be able to pay this loan back?
Yes. Yes. The great thing is that Janet Yellen decided not to raise the short-term interest rate, so that gives a boost to the market also. All right. Thank you very much, Anthony. It's always a pleasure having you with us. And then I'm going to bring Mr. VJ in, and he has his final word, and then we'll go ahead and conclude the radio show.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Anthony. Especially you, Anthony. It was just a rehash and just emphasize the things we talked in the first show that Anthony brought up in the second show, and it is good to hear that. I look forward to the third show, and until then, y'all have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend.
Ok, thank you very much, gentlemen. Donc, pour tout le monde qui fait brancher ou attendre l'émission Solstice Realty, nous avons M. Anthony Davis au bout du fil avec nous, et puis avec M. VJ, Surijnarine Singh, un investisseur, bon ami qui retired from the service, and then he lives right now in Jacksonville, Florida. Donc, merci à tout le monde qui attend l'émission Solstice Realty. Donc, m'a présenté agent Néo, c'est pour tout le monde qui a besoin de services immobiliers, qui a contacter monsieur Delouis Cadet dans 904-442-4760, monsieur Michael Paul dans 904-254-93-74, monsieur Isval Fertil dans 904-699-6412, monsieur Jerry Lefanor dans 904-600-8105, et monsieur Omer Thomas dans 904-860-3913, Monsieur Indier Etienne, dans 904-405-2346. Et, mesdames et messieurs, c'est un plaisir pour nous welcome Monsieur Montfort Octeus, dans l'équipe Solstice Realty. Donc, Montfort, he's back in the real estate market. Et puis, tout nous avons contacté Monsieur Montfort, dans 904-229-9240. Monsieur Montfort Octeus, dans 904-229-9240. Donc, nous connaissons le programme ça pour les capacités dans l'air là, c'est grâce à sponsor de monsieur Al Oxy, le First Choice Insurance of America. Nous avons contacté monsieur Oxy pour tout besoin d'assurance dans 904-732-1818. Et monsieur, le docteur Plumbing, c'est de Diop. Nous avons contacté monsieur Rodney Robillard, docteur Plumbing dans 904-444-4614. Et monsieur Stanley Louis, là nous avons tout problème frigidaire fou, appliance par machine la caille, air conditionné tout, nous avons contacté monsieur Stanley Louis dans 904-554-0630. Et ensuite, pour besoin d'assurance, nous avons contacté All State Insurance de madame Jolita Ray dans 904-309-5607. Et puis pour besoin de air conditionné, nous avons contacté notre frère Nick Anthony de Climate Expert Heating and Air. Non, area code 770-540-3701. Donc, à relais Nick dans n'importe quel appareil devant porte caille. Et pour tout le monde tout qui besoin une bonne machine, pas bon ici, ou bien machine pour jeunes tout, nous, à relais Carl Auto, il parle langue nous. C'est monsieur Carl Wilson Auto, 904-770-9173, 904-778-9173. Et pour tout le monde qui besoin de plus belle, avec bon maquillage, vous besoin de bon produit américain, relais Madame Rosie Wilson dans 904-302-2006. Vous pouvez contacter Madame Wilson dans 904-302-2006. Donc, c'est un plaisir pour nous de microphone avec vous. C'est Jacques et Guillaume. Donc, c'est toujours, nous toujours content pour nous là, pour nous faire effort pour nous live dans le studio. Mais parfois, connaît, activité qui doit empêcher nous pour nous pas dans le studio chaque samedi. Mais quand même, on a toujours un programme, Solstice pour tendre dans le ça. Et si vous te commencé dans des choses, ça va pas être fin dans délai, vous pouvez aller sur le site, qui c'est solsticerealty.net. L'entrée sur le site solsticerealty.net. Cliquez sur Radio Show, ou après tout podcast. Nous avons près de 45 podcasts qu'on attendez. Et ça va faire 46. Et puis, nous gagnons agenda pour chaque podcast. Vous êtes capable de lire l'agenda, vous êtes capable de choisir podcast qui intéresse là. Donc, nous dit merci à tout le monde qui attend des émissions Solstice Realty. Passez bon week-end. Merci à Didier Woody et Silencieux, c'est eux qui préparent Team Song là. Et puis, monsieur Yvan Rilis, c'est voir qui sont à plaçage là. Et monsieur Johnson Celtic, qui c'est pour programmation directeur de radio, et avec notre confrère, technicien radio, c'est Seigneur Diego, il est là avec nous. Alright, passez bon week-end et à la prochaine.
Hello, my name is Marie-Danielle Guillaume.
Moi, invite pour tendre Solstice Realty tous les samedis de 11h à midi. Côté n'a répondre toutes questions sur real estate pour à bord de 1530 AM Radio Puissance Inter.
We invite you to listen to the Solstice Realty radio show every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Call us with questions at 904-786-2400. And for more information, call us or text us at 904-386-1726 or call the office at 904-886-3100.
Ou capable toujours les radios à 904-786-2400. Et pour plus d'informations, ou capable toujours contacter nous dans 904-386-1726 ou bien capable les office là dans 904-886-3100. Ou capable toujours contacter n'importe agent Solstice Realty.
And if you did not get a chance to listen to the Solstice Realty radio show, you may listen to the program on YouTube by searching Solstice Realty.
Goal nous c'est pour nous bien servir la communauté haïtienne, quel que soit côté aux États-Unis, Canada, France, Amérique centrale, en Haïti, nous là pour nous bien servir. Ouais, m'a dit mille merci à la communauté haïtienne qui toujours apprécie le travail que nous faisons, c'est-à-dire qui toujours utilise Solstice Realty pour tout besoin immobilier, que c'est en Floride, que c'est en Haïti. Donc sans communauté haïtienne, nous sommes capables de Solstice Realty pas jamais arrêter pour la faire business pour plus de 10 ans, c'est-à-dire communauté haïtienne tout entière qui toujours bail support à Solstice Realty. Donc c'est pour cette raison qui fait que quelle que soit activité ou qui a fait dans la communauté, Solstice Realty fier pour les capables mettre pas qu'à dire stamp mais pour les longer meli by tout le monde qui est dans la communauté, c'est-à-dire nous réinvestir quelque chose ça nous fait dans la communauté parce que communauté c'est nous-mêmes et c'est nous-mêmes qui fait communauté, donc nous faisons partie de la communauté haïtienne, quel que soit côté haïtien Solstice Realty là avec nous. Donc nous apprécions encore 1000 fois pour support qu'on bail Solstice Realty, on continue de travailler ensemble parce que nous voulons bailler un travail exemplaire et quel que soit côté nous river, quel que soit le monde que nous servir avec, nous voulons pour haïtiens pour nous servir avec eux professionnellement, qui est un bon temps, qui est un mauvais temps, surtout un mauvais temps, parce que c'est les mauvais temps pour qu'on ait vraiment ce gros amis. Donc, Solstice Realty, nous là, ces amours nous là pour nous servir et nous continuer à servir.
Oui, allô?
Allô?
J'appelle de la France. C'est juste pour me faire un coucou, pour me complimenter nous, pour du fait que nous avons informé la communauté haïtienne. De temps en temps, m'écouter nous, parce que tous les samedis, dès que j'ai la possibilité, voilà quoi.
Là, vous capable de pour pas perdre du compte, parce que Jacques, depuis des années, il prend détermination ça, pour les deux communautés haïtiennes, nous suspendons perdu l'argent, parce que nous sommes arrivés dans 456 ans de cela. Haïtiens, c'est deux men en tête après l'homme, ils sont obligés de partir à l'autre côté pour fortune de paix. Ça se connaît, nous tous intéressés dans des émissions, ça. La PDO avec des personnes qui ont connaissance en la matière, pour capable aider pour suspendre perdu l'argent, parce que quand il y a l'argent, vous ne pouvez pas ça à terre. Encore, on va sacrifice pour votre monnaie.
Ça veut dire Solstice.
Solstice, définition où on va aller dans les Haïti, nous connaissons, on va acquérir Solstice, on va acquérir bien fondé, et nous connaissons Solstice, on va Realty, cap mon moyen pour acheter car, pour vendre car, c'est ça, vous connaissez des Solstice.
Mon cher,
on intelligent.
Donc c'est ça que nous devons ajouter en plus pour les gens qui attendent là, qui vont entrer dans le process acheter car, pour connaître comment pour coopérer avec Realtor qui était là et ça m'a dit tout pour mon utiliser un Realtor Solstice qui comprend le langage et qui a aidé à comprendre mieux dans le niveau qu'il a comprendre. Merci.
Moi, tout le programme très instructif. Je crois que c'est bon pour travailler à l'agent parce que ça permet vraiment qu'on fasse un travail qui est plus rapide, qui est plus bien, qui est plus professionnel, que ce soit passé dehors, gardons en fait et essayer de faire un coup de fil pour entrer. C'est ça nous apporter à l'émission.
Pas oublier, l'union fait la force. Pas oublier, l'union fait la force.
C'est un monde qui a lutté, disons, pour que ça change dans le domaine real estate en Haïti. Ça aurait les transactions immobilières.